And we are live. We are live. Let me make sure I'm good on all of my platforms. In case you didn't know, you can check me out on if you're on Facebook, you can check me out on IG. If you're on IG, you can check me out on Facebook. If you're not watching me at all, uh, then don't worry about it. Then don't even worry about it. Um, but just a moment, I want to say, and then going live. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good. So, um, I just wanted to go live again real quick. Another sales call breakdown. This call is a little bit different in a sense. I don't think maybe I mean we probably won't get through the entire call anyhow, but just ultimately the resolve of this call wasn't a seller under contract. The resolve of this call was, you know, we're going to schedule an appointment to talk to all of the decision makers, which I will mention that. Um, get them all on the phone at a different day, and just to continue some deals, some contracts when it comes to PPL or getting people locked up. If you're trying to do these sales calls, sometimes it's not going to be right away. Sometimes it's not going. The first call is not going to result in a closed deal, but you want to push for that as much as you possibly can, right? But it's kind of hard if there's only a few things that really should stop you from doing that. And one of them is if all of the decision makers are not present or able to, um, because these are the people who will need to either help make the decision or actually will need to sign off on the agreement. Now, this was a not a divorced couple, but a couple that's going through their separation right now. So it's like it's a really ugly time in their relationship, and likewise, they probably don't. They're not on good speaking terms. So it's hard to get both of them in the same place at the same time. So that's why this call doesn't result in a closed contract, but it does. I think there are some powerful takeaways from this. So I wanted to go over that just to show you how to qualify a seller, what sort of key points that you can kind of, some indicators, right? They don't define the call, they don't define the seller and if you can close or not, but they're good indicators on is this call going to go anywhere, right? And so, um, yeah, we can get right into it. I want to be able to break down the call. If you have any questions, let me know. If you're watching this on a replay, you got questions, let me know.
Okay. So I mean, with this property here on Rockbridge, you are interested in selling at this time.
Yes, we are.
Okay. How much are you looking to get for it?
Like I told him, we didn't really have a true price in our head about it. You're welcome, son. We had got realtor to come out and walk through it 3 months ago, and he wanted us to do about he wanted us to upgrade the walkway down into the basement and a couple of more small odd things, but I mean we're going through a divorce, so now we're just at the point where we're like, let's just sell it. So he was saying we can get probably about 480 up to 500 because of the recent trend in this neighborhood. Basically, the neighbors across the lake, they're selling their houses with no when they don't. They had one guy, the other guy had shag carpet still running through his whole house, and he sold it for 450, and it was way smaller than this one.
Yeah.
So the homes in this area have been going for a nice price, but I mean, we're not being greedy, and we do understand that we're just trying to get rid of the home, liquidate the assets, so we can both move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to, if you kind of break down, I don't know, maybe you've been on a sales call or just kind of done these things, and you'll get something similar to that. I asked him a direct question. He answered what he wanted to answer. He told me what he wanted to tell me, not what I asked him. But how much are you looking to get for it? Notice I did that at the this is the opening of the call. There was a couple things we had to get worked out. Um, but as far as like the actual the sales process, this was the top of it, and it's You are looking to sell that property at this time, because that's it. If I ask them that question and they say something crazy like, I don't know, it depends on your offer, or I mean, I'm thinking about it, or they say something like, yeah, maybe like next year. I'm like, okay, that's not the end all, but it is an indicator as far as like where this conversation is going to go. And then the next question I asked him was, how much are you looking to get? If he says yes, he's wanting to sell, well, how much are you looking to get? Because you ask them that question, if they tell you an answer, they tell you a number, and where that number is at, if that number is too high, I mean, a lot of times I use Zillow. Um, Obviously, the Zestimate or Zillow estimate is not 100% accurate, but it does kind of give you like a ballpark that you could be in. So when I use Zillow, I'm trying to gauge what's going on. Um, if they don't give you a number, if they say, we really haven't been thinking about it, we hadn't considered a number, as opposed to giving you a number too high, or even a number that's far below this estimate. Obviously, if it's far below, you can go ahead and say, this might be talking about something. We might got a deal on our hands. You know what I mean? We might got something we're working with. If you ask the person, well, how much do you want for it? I think this is basic negotiation, because these same principles can work if I walking down the street and I see a Monte Carlo in somebody's driveway and I say, hey bro, you wanna sell that? How you thought about selling it? Yeah, actually I'm looking to sell it right now. How much you want for it? Right? And he say something crazy, and I can see clearly that it's an older car. He said, man, I want 100,000 for it. It's like, okay, that I could go buy. I'm pretty sure I could buy a Tesla with that before I buy your old Monte Carlo, sir. Get real. If he say something crazy like, man, 2,500, I'm like, okay, now we can get into, from there we can get into, okay, how many miles he got on it? What, he got some rust on it? Yada yada, like an old school Monte Carlo. Same thing with this house, is kind of going through the natural rhythm of things. Based upon what they say, I'm trying to qualify this guy, right? I'm trying to really consider, based upon what he's telling me, is he like really going to be what we call a motivated seller, somebody who's going to act and operate with motivation. Um, is this going to be actually a motivated seller, or is this going to be somebody who is more like, I'm not going to call them a waste of time, but maybe they turn into a follow-up, or somebody who wants market value. Then from there, we educate them. But I wanted to put emphasis on those first two questions. You are looking to sell it, because they have to be fully on board to sell the house before we can have a real solid conversation. If they were just poking around online, this is a PPL lead. This is an inbound lead. They saw an ad online from one of the vendors that we use, who puts ads all over the place, from TikTok to Facebook to YouTube to Google. They responded to that ad, and the information got sent to us, and ding, it hit the card for $75 or $125 or whatever it was. So I pick up the phone and I call them right away. And this is the conversation that we're having. He could have just been like, dang, I see an ad, I just want to know how much my house is worth. He doesn't want to pay for an appraisal. He doesn't want to, he's not looking to buy, really figure out what his house is worth. He can't do the comps and deal with a real estate agent. He was hoping he can go online and just get a quick offer like that. But maybe there are some people who saw the ad and it spoke to their heart and whatever they're going through, and they're like, man, I need to sell my house. There's a difference between the guy who just wants an offer and the guy who needs to sell his house. You got to figure out, who am I talking to here? And then you can act accordingly. And they can both still work out, but you just need to know who you're talking to. So that's why I ask him these questions. This is the guy who doesn't know. He just knows, I got to sell because I just want to get rid of it. But he's also putting unrealistic expectations on the value of his house, because real estate agents gave him an unrealistic expectation. We'll talk more about that.
Got it. Okay. And so how soon ideally, I understand like going through that process. It's a lot of processes that y'all got to deal with. So how soon are you all looking to close on it?
Well, we agree to the sale of the house right now. So,
Okay, so it's not really like a court ordered thing. It's
right,
just y'all
right.
both kind of
No.
said.
Yeah. It's not a
So I want to point that out. That's just a little bit of added information if you didn't know. Divorced couples can be great leads because I guess these are people who are deciding to call it quits. They have assets together and they need to separate it. And a lot of times it's like I call it court ordered, meaning that they've gone through a certain point in their divorce where the judge is like asking them or demanding that they sell it. They've said, okay, you guys are going to separate. This is what we're going to do with this asset. The property is going to be sold. You guys are going to pay this, and this off, and then you're going to split the rest down the middle or 70, whatever. That's what I mean by when I ask them, is it court ordered? Sometimes people are adults enough to kind of settle out their differences outside of court. Maybe not all of the differences, but like he said, and I quote, we agree on selling the house right now. You know what I mean? Because some people just like, I want to stay here. I want to live here. It's just like, well, if you live here, then what do I get? 50% of this house is mine. You think I'm just about to move out and keep paying the mortgage and you live here and you bringing that new dude into the house or that new woman into the house? Nah, we ain't going, you know what I'm saying? So that can get sticky. He made a point that they're in agreement right now. That's rare. And if deeper into the conversation, I don't feel like they was 100% in agreement, but just a couple points I wanted, like food for thought for you to consider, is that when you're talking to a divorced couple, I have seen some people who are on good terms. It's just like, we realize it ain't gonna work out, so this is gonna be very easy. But a lot of times, it's gonna cause you to do some wrestling, some wrangling to figure out like who's who, who's really the even in a divorce, in a divorced couple, there's one who like wears the pants, or you can see one who's a lot more like I just wanna be done, and the other one just kind of like, man, I, I I'm going down with a fight intentionally. So you gotta figure out who that person is when you're dealing with a divorced couple. Again, a big point about this call, and I'll say this all the time, is figuring out who you're dealing with and educating that person. And then from there, from once you got a feeling of who I'm talking to, now let me educate you as the professional on the right way. And then from there, you can make a decision. I'm just giving you information. I'm not telling him to do or telling them to do or pushing them in any just I can ask. And if they say no, I'll ask a second time, a third time for any given request. Like, can we get both you and your wife on the phone at the same time? Like, I'll ask for that, but I ain't gonna tell them nothing. Inform them and go from there.
court order. It ain't nothing like that. It's just, I think we both just realized like we can't keep holding each other hostage in the same home.
Yeah.
And either way it goes, the judge is gonna make us sell it and split the profit anyway because it ain't nothing. It's irreconcilable differences. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we just gonna go ahead and do it on our own. Cause she just, and then her job did a bunch of layoffs probably about a month ago, and she was one of the people. So I'm pretty sure that enticed her to want to go ahead and sell too.
Okay. And so this is something you all are wanting to do relatively quickly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't think
Okay.
she didn't. After talking to her yesterday, she don't want to prolong it.
Okay. How soon? I mean, let me know, because we're pretty flexible as far as our timeline goes.
I think for her, she's probably gonna need about two. I would say about 2 months, if that. Me, I'm moving. As soon as I get back from California next week, I'm gonna go ahead and move me and my kids out.
Okay.
So me and my kids will already be gone. So
Yeah.
I already signed the lease where I needed to go, and she just has to find her a place, which is I'm pretty sure that's not going to be a hard thing for her to do. So, like I said, a couple of months for her, I guess that's what all I would think.
Okay, so we'll need to.
I just want to point out something too. As you can tell, these people are not on. Now, what he's telling me is like these are two different stories. These are two people who will need to sign off and agree. You got to sell to people, essentially. Again, that's why I'm like, to my point is, you really want to try to get people locked up. You really want to get to the 4 pillars, understanding what, personality, character type you're dealing with, get to the 4 pillars, and then provide value. So the 4 pillars: price, time, motivation, and condition. Every time. What's the condition of the property? Time. How soon are you needing to do this? Motivation. Why do you need to do it that soon? And how much are you needing to get out of the house? Um, but when there are 2 people, maybe the price, honestly, when there are 2 people, there could be 2 prices. When there are 2 people, there could be 2 different timelines, 2 different motivations. The condition is probably the only thing that's going to be the same because it's one, that's the actual house part. But when it comes to sales, or real estate sales, you got to remember this is far more of it's far more of a people business than it is about real estate. It's far more important that you understand a person and their desires and their um, different character types and their mindsets and what they respond to than you know about HVAC units, right? And that's where you just kind of come in being a real person, understanding obviously they got a lot. I mean, we've got a lot of stuff that we're going through in life. A lot of people are going through a lot of stuff just over the past couple of years since the economy has changed drastically. People are going through stuff. They have problems. Your responsibility as a business owner, your responsibility as a sales representative, your responsibility as somebody who's out here trying to provide a service to people and help them out is to help them. But before you can do that, like a doctor, you got to know what's the problem. Before you can really, before you know ultimately like how I can help you, I got to know exactly what's going on. Like you can't come in like, oh man, let me give you some medicine for your knee. Be like, doc, my back hurts, so I don't need medicine for my knee. Um, and that's what I think we do a lot of the time on these calls. Is we kind of miss that point and just listen to that person. You should let them do far more talking than you. But to my point is, I'm gonna have to listen to him and listen to the other party, the wife. So that's why I wanted to point out, as you can see, there are gonna be differences. When you experience this, don't like throw away the call. But what I would say is just kind of be patient and take your time and kind of buckle up for a ride. You're gonna have a call. If you can see, this is a 45-minute thing. Like this is a 45-minute call conversation. I'm gonna have to have several more of these with the ex-wife, with him again, with her again, with him again, with her again, until we can come to some sort of agreement. Normally, I try to keep it down one call. Let's try to get them locked up. Here lately, honestly, it's been about 2, 3 calls. But if they're ready to go and they're qualified, there's no reason why we can't go ahead and get them locked up now. Whereas one call, and I say, okay, let me get the purchase agreement in place, and I'll call you back so we can go over it. So it's about 2 calls to get them to sign. But you should be able to go ahead, push. But again, it's about qualifying the people.
Talk with her just to kind of get her side of it and see what she needs to as well. So you both will need to sign off on it, though, right?
Yeah, we both gonna have to sign off on it. I was just trying to just get ahead and see what can we. I know she's doing the same thing, seeing what's the best cash offer we could get. So I'm just doing my own research, and I'm pretty sure she's doing her own as well.
Now, you got to be able to listen for those differences too. I didn't even consider that until after I got off this call. I was talking to Byron, and I was just in the moment. I didn't consider. He was like, man, he probably looking for offers, and she probably looking for offers, but separate. So if I go and I'm like, man, let's all get on one call, he's like, hold on, dude, you can't do that, because he probably like she don't even know that he reached out to me. So he's trying to figure out something, but they not on talking terms. So just consider that, man. That's tough. That is tough. When you're talking to a seller and it's not going as it's not smooth, it's going to be a lot of turbulence. In this case, it's all because there are two people, but it can still turn into a closed deal. But I'm asking about the decision makers. You got to know who are the decision makers. I can't tell you how many times over the years where I would talk to a seller, not even a seller, I'm talking to the wrong person the whole time. I'm talking, and we get to a point where we start talking about numbers. And the person I'm talking to is like, okay, got it. Well, let me run that by the real decision maker, and I'll get back to you. I'm like, wait, I thought you was the guy. I thought you was the man with the plan. I thought you was the one. But it turns out that this was not a failed case of identifying the true decision maker. Are you the decision maker? Are you the only decision maker? That's important. You got to be able to watch out for that. You know what I mean? So make sure you keep that in mind. That's important, even on calls where it doesn't involve clearly a divorce couple, where it doesn't involve more than one people. Just ask anyway, because you never know. Like, oh yeah, I'm the decision. I had a lady say, yeah, I'm the decision maker. I'm the only one. Nobody else. And then we get to sign the contract, and she's just like, I have to ask my mom something. I have to ask my mom. When I talk to her, I'll call you back. I'm like, whatever, man. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So she gave me one last night, as a matter of fact.
An offer
Cash
that
offer.
you
Yeah, an offer that somebody had gave her, that she had researched and they gave her.
Try to get the offer. What was it?
And so, I mean, do you all have any offers that you both are considering, like that might be good for you yet?
No, it's just that one we got. We got that one she presented to me last night. I thought it was an okay offer. She feel like you could get more. We can get more, but like I said, I'm not really caught up on.
Hold on. Before you even finish that, I want to point out something that I did. Again, I'm always talking to my team. We're talking about playing chess. You know what I mean? Kind of like setting yourself up for success. And if you can anticipate something, don't walk right into a trap if you can see it coming. You know what I mean? With this, he said, we got another offer. It looked decent. She said, we got it, or whatever he said. I'm trying to figure out how much was that offer? How much was it? Was that offer? He said, talking about some 480. I'm like, dude, you ain't got no offer for 480. I know that much. But was it like 250? Or was it like 350? Or was it 450? You know, where was that offer at? But I had a feeling with this guy, he's real clever with how he kind of does things. So if you ask him a direct question, he already skilled, whether it's his line of work, whether his experience thus far or whatever, he's already skilled with kind of sidestepping the question. I ask him a question, he answers the question he wants to. So in my mind, I'm taking a different approach. Now I'm trying to ask him questions because I also can realize he's a talker. So if you ask him the right question, he will open up. So instead of asking him a direct question that I know he's going to sidestep, I'm asking him another question, hoping that he kind of opens up and starts to divulge more information. So he said they got another offer, or she had got another offer, and she shared it with him. So instead of saying, how much was that offer? Because I know he's going to like sidestep it. My anticipation is that he would. So what I do instead is say, okay, so do you guys have any other offers that you are considering? I'm asking him like a general question. So hoping that he might respond with something like, well, I mean, I don't know, just that one. I mean, we did have another offer, but that what sellers tend to do is if you talk about all the offers on the table, they will kind of lay it out to you, and they'll say, well, we got another offer for this much, but that was the highest one around here, because they're like bragging. And so if you get them to start bragging about the offers that they got, just to kind of say, yeah, I know my house is worth this, this, and this, they'll say, I got an offer for this much, but I ain't taking that. And they don't realize, like they might say, I got an offer for 380, but I ain't taking that. And in their mind, they're bragging to say, man, my house is worth so much more. But in reality, I just got information like, okay, and 380, that's my closest competitor. I just got them to tell me what the competitor is doing, as far as what the competitor's offering. So in my mind, if I know you thinking 400,000, or he said 480, but if you're thinking 400,000, and I could probably offer you like, I know what I can offer you. Let's say I can only offer them 350. If he say 380, then I'm like, I need to go ahead and strengthen my pros and cons. I know I'm not going to be able to offer him more than that 380, and he already acting like he turned that down. I'm giving a hypothetical scenario here. And so in my mind, what I would do is say, I need to start strengthening the terms and ask him certain questions like, well, did that other company, like, did they say they can buy it as is? Did they come with realtor fees? Can they close on your timeline? Or did they, can they give you time after closing? Well, we can do all of that, or just saying that we need that and kind of working that in there. But I just wanted to point out that that was a prime example. I didn't ask him a question directly that I wanted to know. Like, what was the other competitor's offer? He still might tell me here, I can't remember, but I can tell you that that was something I did intentionally, because I kind of anticipated he's sidestepping all my questions. But he does talk a lot. So if I can get him to brag on the offer, then maybe that's something. So try little stuff like that if you can see stuff coming.
The whole big money deal. I'm just trying to liquidate the asset and just move on at this point.
Yeah.
The house doesn't need a lot of work. Of course, people are going.
Shout out to Ed. Shout out to Ed coming through for your boy. Shout out to Ed. And Ed, I'm telling you, Ed is about to be a completely new man in a couple of days' time. I think, if it ain't happened already, Ed. Shout out to Ed. Every time I see Ed, I'm gonna go ahead and say congratulations, man. And I don't know. I ain't got my invite yet in the mail. I don't know if maybe the mail messed up. I don't know, man. Oh, yes, sir. We got a real showstopper. A real showstopper. You know what I mean? There's some special people that come along, and when Byron got somebody on the live, he said, "Man, this is a real showstopper. My uncle, man, came through to support. Hit me up if you catch this part of it up. Hit me up. We got to talk. Let me know, man." But yeah, we'll continue on. We'll get through this. Just a couple more points I just wanted to take. I don't usually go through the entire call. If you really want me to go through the entire call at any point, let me know.
Want to come in and do their own update, but it's an in-law suite and everything. The house is not listed with that, so you can even turn it into a duplex, 1 bedroom, and then 4 bedrooms on the other side. But so the house just has so many potential. Like, I agree with her. You could get a nice penny for the house, but like I also told her, at the same token, I'm not trying to hold on forever, trying to get to no 480, 490. Like, I'm just not gonna do that. So, and nobody's gonna make a cash offer that high anyway. Like I told you, that's gonna be a buyer. That's basically gonna make us have to do a bunch of little tedious stuff. Not a lot, but a bunch of little tedious stuff to get the house prepared for that. And like I told her, I'm just not willing to put in that work. At this point, I just rather get it over with, and she agreed that, hey, we could just try to do cash offer like we did with our last house.
Yeah, and so what are some of those, just so I know exactly some of those things that you feel need to be done, before the property's market ready?
The door, it got the swing.
A couple other things I want to point out real quick for you is the fact that is that I got a feeling that this dude has been dealt with a couple other investors and gotten a couple other offers already. But um, he makes mention to the fact that he knows that obviously an investor is going to want it at a certain price. Obviously, an investor is going to um, need to make a profit. Like clearly, I think if I hear the seller mention that, then good. If the seller hasn't mentioned that, at some point, I'm going to mention that to the seller. Is letting you know, of course, I mean, full disclosure, we are investors. So we would be purchasing the property with the intention of making a profit. You know, we kind of hope that we can make some sort of turnaround, whether we rent it out, assign it, Airbnb, flip it, or whatever we do, list it on the MLS. Um, we hope to make some sort of turnaround. However, if we can do that, then from there we can offer you all of these benefits that I'm sure you saw on the ad coming in: closing, paying all cash, buying as is, closing on your timeline, closing quickly, so on and so forth. He already mentioned that. So I think he gets, you know, just being a business owner, or he gets working with investors. He understands that. Um, but it's important to kind of educate the seller on that matter when you can. It's about educating. A lot of time, building rapport, when we think of building rapport with a person on these calls, you might think of something like making a friend. Oh, you went to Blackman High School? I went to Blackman High School too. Or, oh, you like vanilla ice cream? I like vanilla. That's not always what rapport is. It depends on the person and their personality type, right? Some people, that whole buddy buddy stuff, it does not work with them. Some people with that, this is an easygoing seller all day long. I would classify him as an easygoing blue seller. Um, but maybe for more like a green analytical seller or a red aggressive seller, for these people, it's your competence that establishes rapport. It's presenting yourself as the professional that establishes rapport in their eyes, because from that point on, they can kind of look at you as like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. This guy knows what he's doing. So that makes them trust you more. That makes them feel a lot more confident in you, and they divulge more information whenever they can trust you, right? And so you gotta, on all calls, you need to establish yourself as a professional. You need to appear as though you know what you're talking about, because you do. Um, but if let's say if you're trying to do the buddy buddy thing with the wrong seller, it's actually going to work against you. So with this guy, I can tell he's easygoing, but I wanted to establish myself as a professional. But I think he can already tell. You can't play the same. You can't be the same person on every call. And since you want to be true to yourself, um, uh, dang, okay. You want to be true to yourself. You want to be able to provide like a good rapport with the people, but you gotta give people what they're comfortable with, and you gotta be 100% transparent, 100% honest. Let them know that up front. But if you know a person's a lot more comfortable with this, be accommodating. It's like, I'm not gonna be different if I got certain guests over my house. I'm gonna be me. But if I know like I'm with an elderly person, I might, you know, offer them, like an elderly person comes over to my house, I might offer them. I'm not gonna offer them, hey, you want to listen to some music? You wanna? I might say, hey, do you want? Is it too hot or too cold in here? Do you want some coffee or some warm tea? You know what I mean? I'm not gonna offer them an energy drink. You know what I mean? But if a younger guy, I might offer them, you know, the energy drink or just whatever. I'm gonna be accommodating depending on the different people that come to my house. Like, hey, you want to play? Um, you know, if a friend comes over, I might say, hey, do you want to play a game of chess? But if my grandma comes over, I'm like, oh, let's just talk and interact. Or my mom comes over, it's gonna be a different story. And I'm using this as an example of how you kind of put where different present, accommodate different people based upon what they need. So with this guy, obviously, this is not the full call or whatever, but I wanted to point out some key things. Is I can tell he's a lot smarter. or he's dealt with this. So he's going to appreciate some competence. I can't come in being clueless, not acting clueless, but being clueless. You got to know what you're talking about, or he's going to be like, man, I've got too much going on. He told me his situation. He's got too much going on. He's an easygoing seller, yes. And I would say he's probably a lot more reasonable. And he's a talker, which is a good thing. Like, he's going to divulge. If you ask him a question, he's going to elaborate. He's going to expound and elaborate on what he said. That's way better than some sellers where, like, you ask them a question like, how soon do you want to close? They'll be like, soon. Okay, how soon is soon? Less than 30 days. Tomorrow? Yeah, ASAP. If we can close, if you give me the right price, we'll close tomorrow. It's like, okay, that's not real. Why do you need to close tomorrow? Just want to sell it. Okay, right? So when you get a talker, take advantage of it. When you get somebody who's really opening up, let them talk. And your questions should be that of something like a Socratic questions, I think is the proper term. They call them Socratic questions, where it's just like, he might say something like, I need to close in 30 days. And I'll be like, you need to close in 30 days? And then let him elaborate. So take advantage of the sellers that of what's given to you, what's in front of you. And if you can anticipate something, don't walk right into a trap. Don't ask if the seller has showed you, like, every time you say something, they're like, what's your company name? Okay, and how long has your company been in business? Do you have a website? It's like, if you understand that, like, if they're giving you that, like, then don't try to, like, all right, I'm just going to send you over the contract. From that point, you need to adjust the reins and make sure that everything that you do, you set the right expectation, because it's going to make that person feel far more comfortable. For example, you could say something like, well, Mr. Seller, if we get and come to an agreement, then from there, we're going to send you over a purchase agreement. I'm going to go over it with you line by line. And then if you have any questions, we can make changes to the agreement. If you feel confident, we can go ahead and move forward. Notice also, too, another thing with the analytical person, I say if, and I don't make any assumptions, because that person naturally wants to fight you. Everything you say, they're opposed to. In general, with most sellers, everything you say they're going to be opposed to, but especially with the analytical, the person asks you about your website and your company name and yada yada yada. So the moment you start saying, so what we're going to do is this and this, they're like, hold on, they're going to start fighting you for real. So don't walk into that. Start adjusting the way you talk to them and start being a lot more premeditated when you're giving them you're planning out what's going to happen. Don't go too hard as far as what you say. But if we can do this, then this. If this happens, then this and this. And then when you show them that, they're going to be like, okay, well, I guess we can probably make that work. And then when it actually happens, you remember a couple minutes ago when I told you we would send over the purchase agreement and then I would go over it with you line by line? Well, here it is. I'm sending it over to you now. And also remember, I told you if something doesn't look right, we can make the changes. But if everything looks good and you feel comfortable, then we can move forward. With the person who's asking you about your website and yada, 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 when you talk to them like that, they're going to feel so much more relaxed. They're like, okay, this person understands that you got a baby step with me. You can't just try to push me into it. And the more I feel pushed, the more I'm going to fight back. But this person understands that, and it feels like he's like taking gentle care of me. He's not being aggressive with anything that I do. So that's just food for thought. When you're talking to these sellers, deal with the what's given to you, and take advantage of it, and lean into it. Actually, just because a person is analytical doesn't mean you can't get a deal. Just because there are two decision makers and they're not on speaking terms, and you can't get them on the phone, doesn't mean you can't get a deal. Just because a person is a red aggressive seller and they're like furious and irate with you, doesn't mean you can't turn that into a deal. And once I get one of those calls, I'll share that with you guys so you can see what it's like to deal with a red aggressive seller. But that's all for now. I just wanted to go over that briefly, just to kind of give you guys food for thought. Let me know if you got any questions if you're watching this on the replay. Just as far as like little stuff to do, but shout out to everybody who came. Ed, Uncle Mark. Oh man, we got some people on IG. Kyla, my sister came. Jade. Okay, Dre. Mike, my guy Mike came. Shalana came. Sammy came. Dre came. So appreciate y'all, but defensive. Yeah, exactly, Jay. You're absolutely right. But yeah, appreciate y'all. Just let me know if y'all got any questions on the replay. I'll answer.